I think organizations have learned a lot about their employees through this time. I think employees have learned a lot about themselves through this time. And I think the perspectives have shifted. At NASDAQ, we did surveys and we did focus groups around our new headquarters in New York and also a new build out we're doing in London. We did this at the back end of 2019, and almost 85% of our employees want to go into the office and have a fixed desk. In a recent survey where we've just asked them about how they want to work in the future, very few people wanted to go into the office 100% of the time. So again, the organization has shifted where perhaps we had a policy where everyone had a desk all the time. Anecdotally, now we're viewing it and seeing something different. Employees have changed their perspectives because I think they realize, actually, I my life is almost, work is integrated more in my life when I don't have to go into the office, and therefore I kind of like that approach. And then the second part of your question, where is what do I think the future workplace leader looks like, or what is that role? And that's something I've asked myself as I sort of sat down and as COVID kicked in, I sort of asked myself that very, very question, because if I look at, what workplace is traditionally, and to the point that you made, well, if HR are going to be obviously a huge part of that, if the work from home is going to be a huge element of that, and all this flexibility that Anthony alluded to as well is only going to be part of it. So what then does my role as somebody who has to understand where headcount's going and what that real estate demand is going to be, and getting all those utilization things right, is my role changing? I think it is. I think my role will be transforming, and that's sort of the question I have to myself, and the thing I keep reminding myself each day is, how do I remain relevant to the organization as time evolves, as demand increases? Who will own that remote workforce? Who will be responsible for the setup and the actual application of all those devices that we think they may need, be it a desk, a chair, and everything else that goes with that? It's going to be a fascinating thing. I don't know what the answer is. I know I send that a lot, but it is a case of, these are moving targets. Information and perspectives are being changed daily. And I think we each all have to ask ourselves is, that question: how can I be relevant today, tomorrow, and in the future? What do I need to do to continue to be relevant to the organization? And how can I educate myself to ensure that I have the information so that we can provide it to the organization, to ourselves, as we roll through to find whatever this new normal is to be?
You're totally right. I think, I love that both of you are not giving me any answers. You're just asking more questions. It's perfect. We haven't figured it out yet, and there's a lot more to figure out. And Anthony, any ideas from your side how you might think, workplace leaders, their role might shift? Will they have to get more competencies per se in the realm of IT infrastructure, these kind of areas where before it was not really their jurisdiction, but now that there's a mixture of work from home, work on site, and flexible work, do they have to get more comfortable with these different topics? And if so, what is it? What do you think is a timeline around this, in your opinion? Especially since Asia, by the way, is naturally, especially in China, is much more connected. Let's say there's a lot more internet users in these regions than in Europe and the United States. So I think you've already been experiencing some of these challenges before, right?
Yeah, if I had to guess, maybe, and you guys let me know what you think. Maybe the workplace manager will have to transform into just a work manager. Because at the end of the day, the place is just a means to an end. What the company or what the business ultimately cares about is that work gets done. All else equal, if you can get work done in this place or that place or using whatever methods, what you care about is the productivity. You care about business results. So maybe I can see a future where the workplace manager will transition into just being a productivity manager or like an effectiveness manager. And this person will have to think about the places, but also those other two elements, the equipment, whether it's physical equipment or software or digital tools, or in the future, who knows, AR and VR and automation and all that. And also the policies that enable all of that stuff to happen. Your second question was about timeline. I mean, who knows? I would say the timeline would definitely differ a lot by industry, and it would differ by company, because the bottleneck for a lot of these changes is just how do companies make decisions about any of this stuff? How does a company make any decision about changing the way they work, regardless of pandemic or no pandemic? Think about the average major corporation and how it would make a decision to move their office somewhere or change their lunch policy or their dress code. Many organizations are quite slow at doing that. It'd be interesting to see one person who's just in charge of a strategy to think of every single part of that strategy for managing productivity and managing how effective our people can be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the future of the workplace manager. It'll just be a work manager.